Hi, I'm Shayna with Adventures in Fluff, and today I'm going to be lanolizing my first batch of wool. So let's see how this goes. The first thing I'm going to do is fill up my laundry sink here with some tepid water. So nothing too hot, nothing too cold, just a nice warm temperature. Anything too hot is going to end up shrinking your wool, so you want to definitely stay away from that. And then I'm going to be lanolizing 3 covers and some breast pads, so we'll just fill it up a little bit here. Give it enough to soak those in. So while we're doing that, the first thing I'm going to add to my water is some Eucalyptus wool wash. And this is basically just a wash that has some lanolin already mixed into it. So we're going to add that to our basin first. And I'm just going to add about a teaspoon for every gallon of water that I'm adding to the sink. So we'll add about 2. Add 1 more. You can see it's getting nice and sudsy in there now. Okay. Pretty good. So let's turn that off. Next thing I'm going to add to my water is some pure lanolin. And I'm just going to be using the Lanolin lanolin that most of you are pretty familiar with if you're breastfeeding and use for sore nipples and whatnot. And I'm just going to add about the size of 2 peas. If I was doing a smaller batch, I'd probably just do 1. But as you can see, it's fairly thick right now. Just stick that in there. And then we'll get a little bit more, just because we're doing a little bit larger batch here. And we'll close that up. And then what I have in this cup right here is some very hot water. And I'm just going to mix that in and try and dissolve my lanolin cream so it's not that thick little ball that we saw just a minute ago. And I can still see it floating in there a little bit, so we're going to keep stirring that a little bit. See if that's dissolved. And looks like it's almost ready. I pretty much just see oil floating in there now, which is what I want. So I'm going to add that to my water here, and we'll just switch that around, get it nicely distributed through my sink. And now I'm going to take my wool items, take my breast pads here, and just immerse those in my water, and I'll just lightly press them. Just make sure that they're soaking up the water nicely. Flip it over, press it a little bit more. Flip this one over, press it a little bit more. We'll just make sure that's nice and soaked. And we'll grab our next one. And we'll do the same thing, just press. I don't want to rub it too much or mess with the wool too much. Just kind of keep it in its regular form. And I'm just going to press and just try and work that lanolin into the cover. I'll let that one sit and grab my next one. And we'll press. Turn that over. Okay. And I'm going to take my last one and we'll do the same thing. We'll just press all that in. Now what I'm going to do with this now is just let this soak in overnight. You could do it as short as 30 minutes, but since this is my first time lanolizing these covers, I'm going to do this overnight just to get them fully absorbed with lanolin so that they will perform really well when I use them. So we'll just let this sit and we'll continue on tomorrow. Okay, it's now the next day, and I've let all of my wool items soak overnight in the basin of my sink, and now we're just going to take them out and get them ready to dry. So what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to let the water out of my sink, and then we'll just start with the first item. Let's just set these ones aside. And what I'm going to do is just take my item and kind of fold it and press out as much water as I can. And fold that in half and we'll press it some more. Turn it over. Try and fold it one more time. Let's try and get out as much water as we can without wringing it. Wringing it's just going to distort your wool and get it all bent out of shape. So you just want to press. Okay, I think that's about as much as we're going to be able to get with pressing. So I'm going to take it over here to my towel I have set out. And I'm going to put it on my towel, and I am just going to roll up my towel. And I'm just going to press, press, press. And we're just going to try and soak up as much water as we can out of our wool soaker. That way, it'll just decrease the drying time a little bit. So that's good. And then we'll just do it one more time. I'm going to open up my towel to where it's a little bit drier. Put it back in. Fold it over. And then I'm just going to roll it back up again. And try and press out just a little bit more of that water into the towel. I think we've got it pretty good. So I'm just going to unroll the towel and take my soaker out. And it feels pretty good. And I'm going to put it up here on my drying rack that I have in my laundry room. Now you can also, if you don't have a drying rack, you could also just lay it on the counter on a drier towel. This one's kind of wet now, but if you had a dry towel, you could lay that one out and lay them on the towel to dry, and then just periodically maybe flip it over so that it can get dry on the other side. But since I have mine on a drying rack, it's getting air from both the top and the bottom, so I won't have to flip it periodically. So that's all you're going to do. I'm just going to repeat with the rest of my items, and I'll be done lanolizing my first batch of items. I hope this video helped you out, and I hope you'll join me again for another one of my adventures in fluff.